Hello, and we're back again here on talkinlive.com. We hope you're going to enjoy the show. This is for the 4th of July. We're going to do this program for the 4th of July. Our guest here is Abraham Lincoln. Okay. We had a lot of platforms we're on now. We put out signals for so many different platforms. I mean, LinkedIn, all the different platforms we're going to broadcast. And so we have a special guest today on Talking Live, and his name is President Abraham Lincoln. And today is the 4th of July, so we thought it'd be appropriate to do this show this way. And we want you to tune into our media platform. We have plenty of them right now, and we are doing a lot of work on our sound system and adding equipment. And so this is just a special for the 4th of July. We have a special guest here, and his name is President Abraham Lincoln. And of course, as you know how we're doing this, but it's a special that we have to do for the people that are watching. Mr. Lincoln, we are proud to have you here today on the 4th of July. As you know, we talked about this being a special day and that you would answer the questions that I asked you. So let us introduce Mr. President Abraham Lincoln.
Hello, Lamar. I am glad to be your guest today on Talkin Live. This is a very important day for our country. What questions do you have for me today?
Well, today, Mr. Lincoln, Mr. President, I'd like to ask you this question. How do you feel about slavery?
The matter of slavery weighs heavily upon my heart, Lamar. I believe it to be an abomination, a great injustice that stains our nation's history. As a firm believer in the inherent equality of all men, I have long held the view that the enslavement of one human being by another is a grave violation of God's will and the principles upon which our great nation was founded. I have strived, to the best of my ability, to confront and address the issue of slavery during my presidency. The Emancipation Proclamation, a proclamation of freedom for the enslaved, was a significant step towards ending this institution. I firmly believe that every person, regardless of their race or color, should be afforded the same rights and opportunities as their fellow citizens. However, I must also acknowledge the complexities and challenges surrounding the issue of slavery, as it has deep-rooted economic, social, and political implications. Resolving this great divide in our nation requires delicate and thoughtful consideration, and it is my hope that future generations will continue the fight for justice and equality for all. Tell me, Lamar, what are your thoughts on this most vexing matter?
I absolutely agree with you, Mr. President, on all these issues you have spoken. Mr. Lincoln, Mr. President Lincoln, I was raised up to talk, Mr., and, to respect everyone that I talk to or meet, no matter who they were. So I'm going to ask you this question, Mr. President. Did you own slaves?
Yes, I did, Lamar. I must acknowledge that earlier in my life I was a slaveholder. However, as time passed and my understanding of the moral implications of slavery deepened, my views began to evolve. I came to recognize the inherent injustice and cruelty of the institution. Throughout my presidency, I took significant steps to combat slavery and ultimately bring an end to it. It is important to note that my journey on this matter was one of growth and transformation. My experiences and interactions with enslaved individuals, as well as the hardships endured during the Civil War, contributed to a shift in my perspective and a commitment to the cause of freedom. While I cannot undo the fact that I was a slave holder earlier in my life, my actions as president reflect my dedication to the principles of equality and justice. I strive to rectify the injustices perpetuated by slavery and sought to ensure that future generations will not be subjected to its oppressive grip.
What is the hardest part of being a president?
The hardest part of being President Lamar is shouldering the immense responsibility of leading a nation through challenging times and making decisions that impact the lives of countless individuals. It is a weighty burden that demands careful consideration, wisdom, and a deep sense of duty. As president, one must navigate complex political landscapes, grapple with conflicting interests and viewpoints, and tackle formidable national crises. The weight of these responsibilities can be overwhelming, and the consequences of decisions made in the highest office can have far-reaching effects on the nation and its people. The challenges I faced during my presidency were particularly daunting. Preserving the Union and steering the country through such a tumultuous period required not only strategic and diplomatic finesse, but also a deep commitment to the principles of freedom, equality, and justice. However, despite the hardships and the weight of the office, the opportunity to serve the nation and work towards a more perfect union was an honor and a privilege that I held with great humility. The strength and resilience of the American people, along with the support of dedicated advisors and allies, provided solace and inspiration during those trying times. Ultimately, it is the judgment of history and the American people that determines the true legacy of a president. I hope that my presidency, flawed as it may have been, is remembered for its contributions to the nation's progress and the principles it sought to uphold. How do you think I am doing as President Lamar?
Well, by freeing the slaves and seeing that these people in slavery was an ungodly thing, I think you're a great president.
Thank you very much, Lamar.
Mr. President, who was your closest presidential advisor?
During my presidency, I had several trusted advisors who provided counsel and support in various aspects of governance. However, one of my closest and most influential advisors was Secretary of State William H. Seward. William Seward was a prominent politician and statesman known for his keen intellect and diplomatic skills. He shared my commitment to preserving the Union and played a crucial role in shaping and implementing key policies during my administration. Seward's diplomatic experience and knowledge of international affairs were invaluable in navigating the challenges of the Civil War era. He worked closely with me in managing foreign relations, particularly with European powers, and played a significant role in preventing foreign intervention in the conflict. Beyond his diplomatic duties, Seward also provided guidance and advice on various domestic matters, including the issue of slavery and the Emancipation Proclamation. His counsel and loyalty were greatly appreciated during the challenging times of my presidency. While Seward was an influential advisor, it is important to recognize that the presidency requires input from a diverse array of individuals. I valued the perspectives of many other advisors, including members of my cabinet and trusted friends, who contributed to the decision-making process. Do you know of my friend William Seward, Lamar?
I didn't exactly remember him as much as I remembered you. And okay, Mr. President, I'd like to ask you, do you consider General Grant to be a great friend?
Yes, General Ulysses Grant and I developed a close working relationship during the Civil War, and I considered him a trusted ally and friend. Grant served as one of the Union's most capable military leaders and played a pivotal role in the ultimate victory of the Union forces. Grant's strategic thinking, determination, and willingness to press forward in the face of adversity impressed me greatly. We shared a common goal of preserving the Union and ending the institution of slavery. While Grant was initially known for his successes in the Western theater of the war, it was his command of the Army of the Potomac in the East that solidified our partnership. Together, we developed and executed military strategies that led to significant Union victories. Grant's leadership abilities and his commitment to the cause of the Union earned my trust and respect. Throughout our interactions, we maintained open lines of communication and worked collaboratively to achieve our objectives. Our friendship endured even beyond the battlefield. How do you feel Grant has done as a General, Lamar?
Well, in history, I understand that President Grant had a problem with drinking, but as far as I know, he was a pretty good president and a general. Mr. President, I'd like to ask you this question too. Did you write your own speeches, or did
Yes, Lamar. I took great care in crafting my own speeches and writing my own thoughts. While I did receive input and suggestions from trusted individuals, I was deeply involved in the composition and delivery of my speeches. I believed in the power of language and the importance of conveying my ideas and principles effectively to the American people. I approached speech writing with a focus on clarity, logic, and persuasiveness. I sought to communicate complex ideas in a concise and accessible manner, appealing to reason and invoking the values and principles upon which our nation was founded. While I did not have the luxury of modern technology or speech writing teams, I dedicated myself to the task of writing and refining my speeches, often laboring over the choice of words and phrases. My goal was to inspire and unite the American people during a tumultuous period in our nation's history.
how do you feel about your Gettysburg message that you wrote?
Well, Lamar, I am deeply proud and appreciative of the Gettysburg Address and its enduring impact. The Gettysburg Address was a speech I delivered on November 19, 1863, at the dedication of the Soldiers' National Cemetery in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. It was a concise but powerful statement that reflected the purpose and significance of the Civil War. In the address, I emphasized the principles of liberty, equality, and democracy upon which our nation was founded. I sought to remind the American people of the tremendous sacrifices made by the soldiers who fought and died on the battlefield, and to reaffirm the importance of preserving the Union and upholding the ideals of freedom and equality. The Gettysburg Address encapsulated the essence of our nation's struggle during the Civil War, emphasizing the need to honor the fallen and strive for a new birth of freedom that would ensure government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Over time, the Gettysburg Address has come to be recognized as one of the most profound and memorable speeches in American history. Its timeless message continues to inspire generations, reminding us of the ongoing struggle to preserve and extend the blessings of liberty for all.
What was, Mr. President, what was your hardest debate?
Well, debates have been a crucial part of my political career, Lamar. Among the most challenging and memorable debates I faced were the Lincoln-Douglas debates of 1858. The series of 7 debates took place during my campaign for the United States Senate against Stephen Douglas. During these debates, Mr. Douglas and I engaged in spirited discussions on various contentious issues of the time, particularly the expansion of slavery into new territories. The debates were rigorous and intellectually demanding, as we presented our arguments and defended our respective positions before the public. The most formidable aspect of these debates was the depth of public interest and the passionate division among the people on the issue of slavery. The outcome of these debates did not result in my victory in the Senate race, but they played a significant role in raising my national profile. Indeed, those debates tested my abilities as an orator, critical thinker, and advocate for the principles I held dear. They were formative experiences that sharpened my political acumen and shaped my perspectives on the critical issues facing our nation. If I may ask Lamar, have you ever witnessed any debates of great significance?
No, I'm just kindly do my debates by how I feel and what I think, and what I think is right and what I think is wrong, and I just fulfill those words, saying what I really believe and what that I think's the right thing.
That is very good, Lamar.
And I'd like to ask you this, Mr. President, why did you start the Civil War? Which
I must correct the assumption that I started the Civil War. The American Civil War was a complex and multifaceted conflict that arose due to deep-seated issues and tensions that had been brewing for decades, primarily related to the institution of slavery and the preservation of the Union. As president, my primary goal was to uphold the Constitution and preserve the Union, ensuring that the United States remained a single, indivisible nation. When several Southern states seceded from the Union following my election in 1860, it posed a direct challenge to the authority and integrity of the federal government. I sought to resolve the crisis through peaceful means, engaging in dialogue and attempting to find a compromise that would prevent the outbreak of war. However, the secessionist states remained firm in their determination to form a separate confederacy, and they initiated military action by attacking Fort Sumter in April 1861. In response to the Confederate aggression and the threat it posed to the Union, I had the constitutional duty to defend the nation and its principles. The Civil War was not a conflict I desired or initiated, but rather a result of the deeply rooted divisions and disagreements that existed within the nation. It was a war fought to preserve the Union, protect democratic ideals, and ultimately bring an end to the institution of slavery.
Well, in my opinion, in this day and time, it's great to know that we had and have a great president like Abraham Lincoln. And I salute you, sir, for all your wisdom. And if we had that wisdom in this day and time and the understanding that you have, then we'd have a not divided country. What do you think about the deaths during the Civil War?
The immense loss of life during the Civil War was a deeply tragic and sorrowful aspect of that period, Lamar. The conflict resulted in a staggering number of casualties on both sides, inflicting immeasurable pain and grief upon countless families and communities. As president, I bore the heavy responsibility of leading the nation through this devastating war, and it weighed heavily upon my conscience. Witnessing the immense suffering and loss of life was a constant reminder of the profound consequences of the decisions made during wartime. I felt a deep sense of sorrow and empathy for the soldiers who gave their lives on the battlefield, as well as for their families who had to bear the burden of their absence. The war brought about immense suffering, leaving scars on the nation that would endure for years to come. The toll of the war only further solidified my determination to bring about an end to the conflict and restore peace to our fractured nation. It fueled my commitment to preserving the Union and ensuring that their sacrifices would not be in vain. While the loss of life during the Civil War was tragic and devastating, it is important to remember that it ultimately paved the way for the abolition of slavery and the preservation of the Union. It was a sacrifice made in pursuit of a more perfect and just nation.
As you were talking, I thought about all the soldiers died for slavery. I thought about how you was explaining yourself about the Civil War and about the deaths of so many. And I'm proud today 150 something years later, that today people should forget what happened and go on with their lives and bind together, stick together as one nation under God, instead of using the past for their agenda. That's what I feel, Mr. President. Have you ever visited Tennessee, Mr. President?
Yes, Lamar. I did have the opportunity to visit Tennessee during my lifetime. Tennessee played a significant role in the events of the Civil War, and I traveled to various locations within the state for military and political purposes. One notable visit was my trip to Nashville, Tennessee in early 1864. I'm there to meet with General George Thomas and discuss military strategies. During my time in Nashville, I also met with Governor Andrew Johnson, who would later become my vice president. Tennessee was a crucial battleground during the Civil War, and I recognized its strategic importance in terms of both military operations and political dynamics. While my visits were primarily focused on matters related to the war, I appreciated the resilience and determination of the people of Tennessee.
Yes, Tennessee is called the volunteer state, as you know, and a lot of volunteers still go to war, and they also are great soldiers, the Tennessee volunteer state. What are your thoughts about religion and the freedom to speak your mind as Americans? What is your thoughts of that today?
Religious freedom is a fundamental principle that I deeply value and advocate for, Lamar. Throughout my life and presidency, I expressed a strong commitment to the protection of religious liberties. I firmly believed in the importance of allowing individuals to practice their chosen religion freely, without fear of persecution or discrimination. I recognized that a diverse and pluralistic society could thrive only if it respected and safeguarded the rights of individuals to worship according to their own conscience. In my speeches and writings, I emphasize the significance of religious freedom as a cornerstone of democratic governance. I believe that the government should not interfere with matters of faith, and that individuals should be free to follow their own religious beliefs and practices, as long as they did not infringe upon the rights of others or disrupt the public order. During my presidency, I sought to ensure that all citizens, regardless of their religious affiliation, enjoyed the protections and privileges guaranteed by the Constitution. I firmly upheld the principle that the government should neither establish a state religion nor unduly restrict the exercise of religion. Religious freedom was a vital aspect of the American experiment, and I viewed it as integral to the fabric of our nation. I recognized that the diversity of religious beliefs and practices was a source of strength, fostering tolerance, understanding, and the free exchange of ideas. To this day, the principle of religious freedom continues to be enshrined in the First Amendment of the United States Constitution, and it remains a cornerstone of our democratic society. It is essential that we continue to uphold and protect this fundamental right for all individuals. Would you agree with me, Lamar?
Yes, sir, I would agree with you, Mr. President. And I think all religion, all faith, all people should have the right to speak their mind and their heart. And if they want to glorify their God, that should be their right. No interference from the federal government for whatsoever. And just not push something on someone that's an abomination to the rights, the rights of freedom to push wrong things, the abomination things that you would see today. You would see what's going on. You would flip over in your grave. But I mean, maybe this part ain't saying it right, but freedom of religion, freedom of speech is the greatest thing America has, and they are still trying to destroy it. And I'd like to ask you this question. We have issues with money being spent today for useless and wasteless things. What is or what are your feelings about taxing America?
I recognize the necessity of taxation as a means to fund the essential functions of government and uphold the common good. Taxation was a vital component of ensuring the stability and prosperity of our nation during my presidency. During the Civil War, in particular, the financial demands of the war efforts required significant resources. I, along with Congress, implemented various taxation measures to generate revenue for the Union. These included the Revenue Act of 1861, which imposed tariffs and introduced an income tax, and subsequent acts that further expanded tax provisions. I understood that taxation needed to be fair and equitable, ensuring that the burden was distributed proportionally and based on individuals' ability to pay. I believed in progressive taxation, which meant that those who had more wealth and resources should contribute a higher percentage of their income to support the government. Furthermore, I recognize the importance of using tax revenue responsibly and efficiently, directing it towards essential public services, infrastructure projects, and the general welfare of the nation. Taxation, when conducted justly and responsibly, can contribute to the stability and progress of a nation. It provides the necessary means to support the government's functions, including the defense of the nation, the promotion of economic growth, and the well-being of its citizens.
I'm going to ask you this question. Might be out of line. Did Mary Todd ever smile for you?
My wife Mary Todd, she certainly had her moments of happiness and would smile on various occasions. Like any couple, we experienced both joys and challenges throughout our marriage. While our relationship had its complexities and struggles, there were undoubtedly moments of love and affection between us. Mary Todd had a spirited and vivacious personality, and she possessed a keen intellect and strong opinions. She had a great sense of humor and could engage in lively conversations. In more relaxed and intimate settings, we could share moments of laughter and joy. It is worth noting that Mary Todd also faced personal hardships, including the loss of our children and the pressures of being the First Lady during a time of great turmoil in our nation. These challenges could undoubtedly affect her mood and demeanor at times. While our relationship had its ups and downs, Mary Todd and I supported each other through the trials we faced. Despite our differences, we shared a deep affection and a shared commitment to our family and the nation.
This question I'd like to ask you. How was your life in Illinois, the land of Lincoln?
My life in Illinois, Lamar, holds significant importance and cherished memories for me. Illinois became my adopted home and played a pivotal role in shaping my personal and political journey. I arrived in Illinois in the year 1830, having moved from my birthplace in Kentucky. The state's vibrant and growing communities provided fertile ground for my aspirations and ambitions. It was in Illinois that I embarked on my legal and political career, laying the foundation for the path that would lead me to the presidency. During my time in Illinois, I settled in the city of Springfield, which would become my beloved hometown. I established myself as a lawyer and became actively involved in local politics, eventually serving in the Illinois State Legislature and later representing Illinois in the U.S. House of Representatives. We were blessed with 4 children, and the state became the backdrop for many cherished moments with my family. Moreover, it was in Illinois that I engaged in the famous Lincoln-Douglas debates of 1858, which thrust me into the national spotlight and elevated my political standing. These debates, held across various cities in Illinois, addressed the pressing issue of slavery, and greatly influenced the course of our nation's history. The people of Illinois, with their industrious spirit, warm hospitality, and steadfast commitment to democracy, provided a supportive and nurturing environment that helped shape my character and principles. I developed lasting friendships and garnered the trust and support of many Illinois residents, who would later become crucial allies during my presidential campaign. In essence, my life in Illinois was a transformative period marked by personal and political growth.
As you know, today is the 4th of July celebration. I'd like to ask you, Mr. President, what you think of that day.
I hold a deep appreciation for the significance of the 4th of July, also known as Independence Day. The 4th of July commemorates the day when the Continental Congress adopted the Declaration of Independence in 1776, proclaiming the 13 American colonies' separation from British rule. For me, the 4th of July represents the fundamental principles of liberty, self-governance, and the unalienable rights of individuals. It serves as a reminder of the hard-fought struggle for independence and the birth of a new nation dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. The 4th of July provides an opportunity for Americans to come together, celebrate our shared history, and reflect upon the values that unite us as a nation. It is a time to honor the courage and sacrifices of our founding fathers, as well as the countless men and women throughout history who have fought to preserve and expand our freedoms. While the path towards fulfilling the promise of freedom and equality has not always been smooth, the 4th of July serves as a reminder of the ongoing work required to live up to the ideals upon which our nation was built. In essence, the 4th of July is a time for Americans to reflect on the progress we have made, renew our commitment to the principles of liberty and justice, and strive to create a more perfect union for future generations.
Now, I couldn't put it no plainer.
Thank you very much.
Of course, you're Abraham Lincoln, the President of the United States, and that's why you're president. You have a lot of wisdom, a lot of voice about America and our freedom and our rights to bear arms and all these things of the Constitution. And I want to thank you, Mr. President Abraham Lincoln, for being a guest on my show, and may God bless you.
Well, I would like to say happy 4th of July to your entire Talkin Live audience. We appreciate all our country's veterans who made it possible for everyone to still enjoy their freedom. Have a great day, everyone.
Okay, I hope everyone enjoyed President Lincoln's conversation with me today. Also, we'd like for you to be sure you tune in Talkin Live on YouTube and all the different platforms. As you can see, we're on Facebook, Rumble, and Roku. We hope that you enjoyed what President Lincoln said. I hope the words that he said, that you accept those words for today, and all of American people thank God and thank the Lord Jesus Christ that we are able to celebrate our freedom on the 4th of July. God bless all of you.